Having no friends is usually seen as a problem, but psychology suggests it might reveal something most people never realize. Having no friends is something people rarely talk about honestly. It's usually framed as a problem, something embarrassing, something that must be fixed. Society often tells us that if you don't have a big circle of friends, something must be wrong with you. But psychology suggests that this assumption isn't always true. Sometimes, having no friends doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're unlikable. And it definitely doesn't mean you're less valuable as a person. In many cases, it simply means your life experiences, personality, and way of thinking are different from the majority. And those differences often create certain traits that most people never develop. If you've ever gone through long periods where you felt like you had no real friends, this video might help you understand yourself in a completely new way. Because having no friends can quietly shape your personality in powerful ways. Here are 5 hidden traits that people often develop when they spend a lot of time on their own. The first trait is strong self-reliance. When you don't have people around you all the time, you learn how to rely on yourself. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Humans naturally want connection. We want someone to talk to, someone to ask for advice, someone to lean on when things feel overwhelming. But when that support isn't always there, something interesting happens. You begin solving problems on your own. Psychology shows that individuals who spend more time independently often develop stronger internal decision-making skills. Instead of constantly seeking validation, they start trusting their own judgment. For example, imagine facing a difficult decision. Many people immediately ask their friends what they should do. But if you spent time without that option, you've probably learned to sit with the problem, think it through, and decide for yourself. Over time, that builds a quiet confidence. You realize that you can handle more than you thought. The second trait is deep self-awareness. Spending time alone naturally creates space for reflection. When your environment is quieter, your thoughts become more noticeable. Research in psychology suggests that solitude often increases self-reflection. Without constant social noise, people begin examining their emotions, beliefs, and behaviors more carefully. You might find yourself asking questions like, why did that situation hurt me? Why do I react this way in certain moments? What do I truly want from life? Many people rarely stop to ask themselves these questions because they are constantly distracted by conversations, events, and social expectations. But when you're alone more often, you start learning about yourself in ways others never do. And that understanding becomes a powerful form of emotional intelligence. The third trait is independence in thinking. When you're not surrounded by a large social circle, you're less influenced by group pressure. Psychology research on social conformity shows that people often adjust their opinions to match those around them, sometimes without even realizing it. But when you spend more time outside of those social pressures, your thoughts become more independent. You start forming opinions based on what actually makes sense to you, not just what everyone else believes. For example, you might notice that you question ideas more often. You analyze situations from different angles. You're less likely to follow trends just because they're popular. This kind of independent thinking is actually one of the strongest predictors of creativity and innovation. Some of the most original thinkers in history spent long periods working and thinking alone, and that time gave them the freedom to see the world differently. The fourth trait is emotional resilience. Being alone sometimes means facing difficult emotions without immediate comfort from others. At first, that can be painful. But over time, many people develop a stronger ability to process those emotions internally. Research indicates that individuals who learn to regulate their emotions independently often develop higher levels of emotional resilience. They become better at calming themselves down, understanding their feelings, and moving forward after setbacks. Think about the moments when you've had to deal with stress, disappointment, or loneliness on your own. Each time you face those feelings, you were building emotional strength, not because the experience was easy, but because you learned you could survive it. And once you realize that, challenges stop feeling quite as overwhelming. The fifth trait is a deeper appreciation for meaningful connections. Here's something many people don't realize. People who have experienced loneliness often develop a much stronger sense of what real connection actually means. When you spend time without friends, You become very aware of the difference between superficial relationships and genuine ones. Psychology research suggests that people who value quality over quantity in relationships tend to build deeper, more supportive connections when they do find the right people. Instead of chasing large social circles, they look for authenticity. Someone who truly listens, someone who respects them, someone who feels safe to be around. And because you understand the feeling of being alone, you often become more compassionate toward others who feel the same. You notice people who are quiet. You recognize when someone feels left out. And sometimes that makes you a more thoughtful and understanding person. Now, it's important to say something clearly. Humans are social creatures. Wanting connection is completely natural. Having no friends right now doesn't mean you'll always be alone. Life changes, environments change, and the right people can appear when you least expect it. But the time you spent on your own hasn't been wasted. It has been shaping you. It has been building strengths that many people never develop because they're always surrounded by noise. If you've experienced loneliness, it may have quietly helped you become more self-reliant, more self-aware, more independent in your thinking, more emotionally resilient, and more capable of recognizing real connection when it finally arrives. Those traits are not weaknesses. They are foundations. They are the kinds of qualities that create deep friendships when the right people eventually enter your life. So if you're going through a period where you feel like you have no friends, try not to see it as proof that something is wrong with you.